Next flag will end the race. 1 lap to go. Sponsored by Credit One Bank. We are still green.
So if the caution comes out now, the race will be over. It'll be official. Who runs second? Reddick or Gibbs? And can SVG get it back around?
It's turn 6 where the 51 is stuck.
And there's the caution.
I was going to say, I was surprised that they would not throw the yellow. They can't allow the field to race through at turn 6 with a car in the tire barrier. So that's the call NASCAR has to make.
He's able to hustle it back to the white flag, making this race official. And now a Sunday drive through the streets of Chicago for Shane Van Gisbergen as he comes back to claim the checkered flag.
Man, that last 15 laps had everything. I know we heard Bowman and Bubba in pre-race. I thought they were kind of just playing it up. I think they were being honest at this point. They had run each other over all day.
Tiptoe through turn 6, where the incident happened. Over the railroad tracks, down to Michigan Avenue. The right-hander at turn 7.
Look at this top 10. Kyle Busch able to battle back to a 5th place. Austin Hill going to get a top 10 on a street course in Chicago.
And look at the names that are up there. Could be a preview of what we'll hear next week in Sonoma when we're racing on the road again. Turn 11, down the hill to turn 12, and the right-hander to come back to victory. Maybe just go ahead and give him a key to the city, because Shane Van Gisbergen does own the streets of Chicago. He delivers once again.
Hell yeah, buddy. Weekend sweep, you are a bet.
36 years old from Auckland, New Zealand. Second victory of the year. And some more playoff points as he starts thinking about what will happen later this year in the postseason. Gibbs, Reddick, Hamlin, Kyle Busch complete the top 5. Allmendinger had a good day with 6. Ryan Preece delivers again. Those 36 points, ends up 7th. It's only 3 points below the cut line as we head to Sonoma. 8s are wild. Driver 88 does it. Shane Van Gisbergen in Chicago.
Hello? We can't hear them. We can't read them. They're all private. On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Not even us.
From local shops in Portland, Maine, to national garages in Portland, Oregon, Napa and our nationwide network of parts and exceptional service are here to keep your business moving at full speed.
A Chewy pharmacy order is on the way for Homer, the homebody who prefers the great indoors. But nature does call, and outside is outside. So Mom uses Chewy to get his flea and tick meds at a great price. Delivered right to their door, or right to the couch. For quality meds at great prices, for life with pets, there's Chewy.
This melty white American cheese is the luckiest cheese alive. It gets to smother a quarter pound of rich steak to create Arby's cheesesteak. Sorry, other cheese. Arby's, we have the meat.
Ponvory is approved for the treatment of relapsing forms of multiple sclerosis in adults. Ponvory lowers the number of white blood cells, lymphocytes, in your blood. Usually, this will return to normal within 1 to 2 weeks of stopping treatment. Ponvory can increase your risk of serious infections that can be life-threatening and may cause death. Ponvory can cause your heart rate to slow down, especially after you take your first dose. Do not take Ponvory if in the last 6 months you had a heart attack, unstable angina, stroke, or other severe heart conditions, including certain types of abnormal heart rhythm. The most common side effects of Ponvory include upper respiratory tract infections, elevated liver enzymes, and high blood pressure. Starting treatment with Ponvory will begin with the starter pack. Ask your doctor about Ponvory or visit ponvory.com to learn more. By Vanda Pharmaceuticals.
Now this is how you end a summer. Under the lights, surrounded by history, at the place where legends are made. This isn't just a race, it's a moment of truth. Their last shot at the playoffs. Your last chance to see regular season action. Friday night, Xfinity lights the fuse. Saturday night, the Cup Series delivers the fireworks. This is Daytona. This is everything. Get your tickets now at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
Back to where it all began. 2 years ago, Shane Van Gisbergen came to Chicago, an unknown in the NASCAR world. Did the unthinkable, wins in his first career start. Opened the door for him last year to win, to go to the Xfinity Series, run full time. He was a rookie, got 3 straight victories on the road last summer, and on the verge of doing it now at the Cup level as a first-year driver. Got it done in Mexico City. Does it here in Chicago, and he'll try to win 3 in a row on the road next weekend in Sonoma, California. Incredible weekend. He gets the sweep, and he's celebrating again, Marty.
Adam, a flat clinic from Shane Van Gisbergen on the streets of Chicago once again. And he gets to celebrate with the crew, the Kiwi, showing why he's the current king of the road in NASCAR. All of his comments yesterday when he said this track is tougher than it's ever been, but he made it look easy today. Hey Shane, I know you're not a fan of cities, but this place changed your life 2 years ago. I think you might want to think about a temporary residence here in Chicago.
Yeah, I love this place. Give me a moment. Let me kick this thing.
Yeah, sure. We'll do this early. He does the rugby ball into the stands, a short kick today. A+, very nice. Well done on the kick. You didn't have to kick it very far today, did you?
Yeah, that was much better, but what an amazing weekend for me. Lucky guy to drive some great cars, and thank Trackhouse, WeatherTech, Chevy, and all these guys and girls here. What an amazing weekend. Thanks for everyone for coming out, and hope we put on a good show.
What is it about you and this racetrack that just fits so well, Shane?
I guess we made no mistakes. You know, there were some really fast cars, and we just need to get it right, you know, and make no mistakes, be smooth every lap, and really cool.
You and I chatted, Stephen Doran, his crew chief. When you and I chatted yesterday, you said this track is tougher than it's ever been. Why was it such a challenge this weekend?
It was just so hot this weekend, you know. The track was very slick, and the times were a lot slower, and the margin for error was very tiny. So just had to get it right, and I'm wrapped.
How about the role this team has played, or how about the role this team is on the last 4 weeks? 4 weeks ago, you were out of the playoffs. Now you have 10 playoff points with 2 wins in Sonoma coming up next week.
Yeah, how good is that? Unreal. We've really come together as a team, got a lot better, and Ross got a win too, so brilliant. Thank you to everyone.
Yeah, Shane Van Gisbergen wins once again on the streets of Chicago in front of the fans here, and the rugby ball. I can confirm, Adam, did hit the last row in these stands.
No truth to the rumor. He signed a free agent deal with the Bears. That's not happening. But he has been getting a lot of experience punting this weekend. Victory yesterday in the Xfinity Series from the pole, and he does it today from the pole as well, leading 26 laps. And he'll be the favorite when we get to wine country next weekend. Our post-race coverage continues. Coming up from Chicago. 2 years ago, we were trying to figure out how to pronounce his name. Now it's Old Hat in Chicago. Say it with me. Shane Van Gisbergen, a winner in Chicago. Plenty more coming next on TNT.
Great show, and stop me if you've heard this one. Shane Van Gisbergen is pretty good here at the Chicago Street Course, getting his second win on the streets of Chicago. With the weather moving in, he was able to best the field despite a crazy crazy 9 laps to end this race. It was crazy behind him because he was out front pretty much the entire time. Take a look at that. The weather has thankfully stayed away. However, we have moved inside just in case, right? You know, we don't want Jamie and Parker to mess up their hair. That's right.
I knew where that was going. Not good.
You knew that's where I was going. You know me very well. Let's talk about the last 9 laps, 10 laps or so, because it was. You guys knew that business was going to pick up once that stage 3 started, and you really saved it for that final stretch.
Yeah, and I like the word that Adam used. He said it got physical at the end, and it did. Like, I mean, that's what happens when you get to the end of these. Just it's all take and no give, and those guys are trying to get the positions they can. People were on a little bit different tire strategies, and Parker, we talked about this a little bit. Tires played a bigger factor than we thought, but the reason that is because we hadn't got to run a dry race here in the last 2 years. So it was really entertaining though at the end. I think that clearly Bubba and Alex would have been the highlight because it went on for about 5 minutes.
They were talking before the race and sort of bantering back and forth about running into each other.
That didn't happen next week.
I don't think it was being lighthearted as it was this time. That was pretty intense amongst those two. They just kept going at it, throwing haymakers and total punches at each other. Obviously, Shane, insane. I mean, what else can we say? We've been talking about it all weekend how good this guy is and how amazing he is. I think if you're in the NASCAR Cup Series right now as a full-time driver and you're seeing this happen, what happened at Mexico, what happened here, if you think you're even remotely close to him, you've got to go do your work and your homework right now because he has won up the field now in just massive fashion. You know, the gap at Mexico is insane, and here he clearly had a speed advantage at any time.
He does, but next week at Sonoma, Watkins Glen, the advantage isn't as big. I can't wait to see how that works out next week. I know he's the best road racer. I'm with you, but the fact when we go to these tracks that guys have been to for year after year, the advantage isn't as big. He'll have his work cut out for him more next week.
And that's exactly why he said he struggled on the ovals, is because he doesn't have as many laps. You know, he comes to places like this, and it is an equalizer for the rest of the field. Let's talk about a guy who started last, Denny Hamlin. Didn't turn 1 lap in practice, and he managed to come out with a top 4 finish. He's standing by with Marty.
Yeah, Shannon, I'm not sure what's more impressive for Denny Hamlin, the fact that he drove from 40th to 4th, or the fact that he ran 43 laps on that last run and saved fuel the entire time. I mean, if I had told you yesterday when your engine was blowing up, you'd finish 4th, what would you have told me?
Let's move on to Sonoma.
I think that was a bit impressive on that last run. How in the world were you able to run that long on that tank of fuel?
Well, I was really saving the entire run and still being able to run really good lap time. So, truthfully, I felt pretty good all day. We marched forward all day long. So, car had pace in it. That's key to getting a good finish. But beyond that, once I was able to get towards the front, I could save and take it easy on the tires. So I'd love to have been on equal tires just to see like how far off I am from those front 2 guys, but it just didn't seem like that much.
Did you get a view of any of the chaos today? I mean, it was a wild final stint of the race.
No, for once it was actually behind me, so it's not really a normal thing on these type tracks. But got to give great credit to this whole Chris Gale, Progressive Toyota team. Just obviously yesterday.
Well, we did have
rough, just not one of those days that we needed. And today we bounce back and execute good. One of the first green races, where we didn't have any issues on a road course. So this is the kind of finish and the kind of pace that we can have when we don't have incidents.
And good point by Denny. Credit to this entire crew. What a rally for this team. Lose an engine, half a lap into practice, and they wind up finishing 4th.
Yeah, you got 3 Toyotas in the top 5. Denny Hamlin, one of those guys, as we mentioned, didn't have a lap in practice because of that blown engine. So he had a lot of work to do today, but so did a lot of guys. But they were all chasing Shane Van Gisbergen. When he won at Mexico City, there was some talk about him getting into the playoffs because he was so far back in the points. And I did talk to him after that race, and he said, well, hey, this is how it goes, right? But he knew he had some opportunities to win some more road courses. Does that kind of quiet those conversations about him maybe, or a guy that is that far back not belonging in the playoffs?
It's why he's here.
No.
But it's why he's here, right? Why did he get hired to do this? Why is he in this position that he's in? It is so valuable for a NASCAR company to get cars in the playoffs, whether you can be successful in the playoffs or not. First goal is be in the playoffs, right? And that's what he's doing now. If he continues to rack up these wins at road courses, he's racking up the playoff points, which he lacks so sorely compared to some of the competitors. Who knows how deep he can go in the playoffs, right? Do we think he's a championship contender going to Phoenix? Most likely not. And that's no offense to him. It's just his first year in the Cup Series on ovals for sure. So this is why he's here, though. And this is what,
to win on road courses.
To win on road courses in dominating fashion, to rack up as much playoff points as he can at these races, to get wins, to ensure Trackhouse another car in the playoffs, which is so valuable for them.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a championship contender, and I think he would say that,
Right.
immediately. He knows that on the ovals that he's not the same level as these other guys. But as Parker said, he's here to win races on road courses, and he's done a really good job of that the entire time that he's been here. The one thing that stuck out to me that I always find interesting in these post-race interviews as we watch Denny Hamlin are his eyes kind of sunk back in his head. You could hear his voice dehydrated. He hasn't, it cooled down quite a bit kind of towards the end of this. But as we do these post-race interviews, I always watch the drivers, and Parker is the one thing for me that I don't miss. Multiple days of trying to get enough fluids back in. And just how physical, how exhausting these tracks are.
And the hot suits, right? We did hear Shane Van Gisbergen did.
Cool suit. You don't want a hot suit.
It was hot today. Well, it's hot when it fails, right? And that's what happens with Shane Van Gisbergen. Yesterday, when he had to go to the infield care center, we didn't really talk about that in the pre-race show, and I don't know if I heard that happen to anyone today because it was still very hot in those race cars today.
And really humid, which is hard, and it just makes it harder to breathe and so physical. And definitely, if you've done both races like Shane, there's a big recovery coming Monday. He might add on to that tonight a little bit in celebration, but it's a long period of time where you fully feel like you've rehydrated and recover. There's one other thing I think that's going to be a talking point this week, and there's a bit of questions I think about some of the officiating calls today in this race. You had the 21 car who sat out there for maybe a lap and a half before a caution was thrown. We obviously had the situation late in the race there where I don't think it changes the outcome potentially, right? Shane had such a speed advantage on the field here, but it's just you want to look for consistency, right? And I think there will be questions, and I'd like to obviously have that discussion with NASCAR because, in that the amount of time you had from when the 51 of Cody Ware's in the wall to when that caution is really thrown was a considerable amount of time. And I think a lot of fans out there are going to want that consistency, and I don't know if we have that.
I see it slightly different, and here's why. I think that the Josh Berry incident, he did sit there for a while. At a track like this, though, they're trying to get turned around, and you have to wait till the track is clear. We talked about at the beginning of this show that spotters can't see everything, so the driver is somewhat dependent on themselves. The Cody Ware at the end, I think you have to wait as long as possible to see if he can get out.
Okay.
We just had a restart. There wasn't anybody coming to that section, so I think each of those scenarios is a little bit different, but I think you do have to wait as long as possible because the most frustrating thing, I think, for us is for them to throw a caution. Be like, well, he got out. Why are we throwing a caution? So I think that can go both ways.
Especially with the weather moving in, but I'm sure NASCAR will answer those questions this week. We'll also be asking questions to Ty Gibbs, right? Because he was able to get a top 5 finish today. He also was able to transfer on in the in-season challenge. He's standing by with Alan.
Third place last year for Ty Gibbs. Another better spot. Second place. What more do you need at the end of these races? You're close.
Yeah, I feel like we had a fast Monster Energy Camry. Just need to have a little bit of more front turn. I feel like I wasn't, as free enough to kind of get my points, my exits right. So, but there's things I can work on as well to make it better. But we had a great day overall and executed well. Just need to be a little bit faster, and I think we could have got them.
You get another shot at this next week. I know it's a different type of course, but it's still a road course race. What do you think about that opportunity?
Yeah, well, just go hammer down there and just go have a good time and hammer down, have fun. Go try to go win.
All right, Ty Gibbs, one step closer to that $1 million for the challenge, guys.